Uganda's President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has once again defended his long rule, saying his government has brought lasting stability, economic progress, and peace to a country once again torn apart by conflict. Museveni was addressing Ugandans during a national event in Kampala, where he highlighted the achievements of his nearly 4 decades leadership. And now, speaking in the Kalolo Independence grounds, President Yoweri Museveni struck a confident tone, describing Uganda's transformation under his leadership as a journey from chaos to stability. Museveni credited the national resistance movement for restoring national unity, strengthening security forces, and improving key sectors such as agriculture, health, and education. He also pointed to Uganda's steady GDP growth and infrastructure expansion, citing new roads and electricity connections and industrial parks as proof of progress.
People don't know that part of the instability of Uganda was caused by this. In the 1962-61 elections, there were no elections. It was just cheating by UPC and Kabaka Yeka. So, in 1980, when we kicked them out, we tried to reform this. UPC was not interested. That's why we had to fight, 1981. Otherwise, there was no need for another war. What was it for? But they were not listening. They disqualified candidates. So Chango Macho, a professor, was disqualified, but he could not read English. The social media apparatus has been saying that Museveni is dead. So the security service needs also to solve that problem. I need to check with them to locate quickly the one who tells you such a story, because you waste people's time. They should go for you.
Now moving on from the euphoria of independence to the painful return of conflict, the road to stability for South Sudan has been long and remain uncertain. Despite the challenges, hopes are still high among communities across the country that peaceful, free and fair elections will bring long-sought security as well as opportunities for development and economic growth, as Davis Karani now reports.
As South Sudan edges closer to the next democratic chapter, the country's youth are finding their voices and stepping into the spotlight, informed, inspired, and ready to lead.
Initially, I've been having several misconceptions about the election, and I had very limited knowledge on the electoral process, such as the eligibility to vote and the processes involved, the pre-election processes, the election processes, and the post-election processes. But all these doubts have been cleared today.
These youth know that participation in the lead up to the election is as important as the vote itself, particularly for the young women who often face cultural and social barriers.
The barriers that we are facing, basically, like I said, there's gender exclusivity from the women's side. With the youth at the same time, we are not fully represented, basically because they feel we don't have the experience as the youth.
Recognizing these challenges, the High-Level Election Commission in Western Equatorial State is taking steps to ensure inclusiveness by conducting crucial information campaign.
The security environment for the women and the people living with disabilities. So the security needs to be stable for women to actively participate.
Supported by the United Nations mission in South Sudan and other nation partners, this campaign helps citizens better understand their civic rights and responsibilities.
Came out from our office, going to the public and encourage them and aware them about the election, because you know this is the first time to happen in South Sudan. We have young people now 18 years, above 18 years, they never experienced this. So we have to go up. That's the office now working closely with our partner, UN Electoral Assistance Team, to make sure that we cover the public awareness to all the people.
As December 2026 and with it the premise of election is fast approaching, young people are getting ready to claim their space.
We're constantly working with various sections, taking an integrated approach to educating the local population on elections through the various workshops that we have. So we dedicate certain sessions to speak on elections. We're constantly conducting workshops that also target police officers, uniformed personnel, and civilian population.
Initiatives like this make sure they can be in a vital part in shaping their own future. Davis Karani for GBS News, South Sudan.
And now from South Sudan Youth Inclusive Elections, Cameroon is preparing for official announcement of its recent election results, now set for Thursday, October 23rd, as the country awaits the Constitutional Council decision. Candidates are speaking out, some already claiming victory. One of them is Achiroma of the Cameroon National Salvation Front. Is making headlines with his statements and calls for international engagement. Here is a closer look at the latest development.
Cameroon as the nation awaits the official election results, now expected this coming Thursday on October 23rd. In the days since the vote, rival candidates have declared themselves winners, fueling public uncertainty and unrest.
Le peuple a choisi.
The people have made their choice, and this choice must be respected. I call upon all institutions, all administrative authorities and leaders not to become enemies of the people that they are meant to serve. The time of fear, manipulation, and false circulations is over. The only side that matters today is that of Cameroon.
Faux calcul est révolu. Le seul camp qui compte aujourd'hui, c'est celui du Cameroun.
Issa Chiroma of the Cameroon National Salvation Front has been especially vocal. He claims to hold official polling station reports showing a strong lead and is urging President Paul Biya, who has ruled for 43 years, to respect the will of the people and leave office with dignity.
To the outgoing President Paul Biya, you have led this country for 43 years. History is watching you. You still have one chance and only one. That is to leave office with dignity as a statesman, to respect the will of the people. Do not end your reign with such blatant fraud.
Fraude aussi flagrante.
Chiroma wants that electoral fraud would only tarnish Biya's long legacy. Chiroma has also appealed to neighboring countries and the international community, including the African Union, United Nations, and key allies like France and the United States to speak out. He says their voices could be vital in protecting peace and democracy, as Cameroon stands at a critical turning point.
Notre pays frontalier, notamment le Nigeria.
To our neighboring countries, particularly Nigeria and Chad, to the African Union, to the European Union, United Nations, France, to the United States, to all international partner countries.
Tous les pays partenaires internationaux.
Do not remain silent. Your silence condones dictatorship.
Votre silence.
Your voice can protect peace.
Votre voix peut protéger la paix.
With the nation standing at crossroads, all eyes now turn to Thursday's announcement and the path it will set for Cameroon's future. Elvis Muyodi, GBS News.
And now, as Cameroon awaits final elections, the ambassador will take a short break. We will be right back with more as we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. Stay tuned.
One of the problems of birthdays, they awaken your consciousness of your oldness. The issue of being man enough is being awakened to your immortality, so that your immortal being becomes the discussion factor that now informs the mortality. You know what to do.
Today we are talking about boy child, and we are asking a question: are you a man enough?
Yeah.
Say, I do.
So for men to be men enough, they need to have somebody who speaks in several dimensions, speaks over them. He who walks with the wise becomes wise. So there is an issue of impartation. Speaks into them, speaks to awake them to the heroes that they are, the champions that they are. As iron sharpens iron, so another man sharpens another. So there's a deliberate awakening of the mature men.
We're going to be discussing dream chasing versus stability. Dream chasing versus stability.
Okay, dream chasing nayo ni ngumu. Unaweza kuwa una chase impossible dreams. But yet unaweza kuwa una chase possible dreams. So wewe tu ngangana na dream yako, one day mtafika hapo.
Kifika certain stage in life, make decisions peke yako, ndio ukiregret usikuwa na mtu wa kublame. Just go for it. Ndio kikikuuma ni wewe umeuma.
Kuramba.
Na ikiwork out pia all the best, because si kila time uta-fail na si kila time uta-succeed, but hauwezi jua kama utajaribu.
Mimi nitakuja hapa ni kudanganye, soft life. Hujui hiyo soft life inatoka wapi? You guys just want to fly badala you take the stairs step by step. Obviously mtu wako pale juu alianzia somewhere. You can't tell me ati kama kuna alternative utafanya, si basi wewe fanya if that's what you want. Would you rather earn less doing what you love ama earn more doing what you hate?
Mi hata sita kudanganya ati napenda kukufia nchi yangu just because of the money that is there. Si ati anapenda kukua KDF, but it's because of the money that is there.
Okay, men are not smart like women. I'm
Yeah,
going to
true.
say that
That's
for a
true.
fact.
Wrong.
Right now, that is true. If me and Rachel say to pay 1 million, tupe mwaka moja, hiyo million itakuwa hata maybe 10. But if a man unashikangwa tu na kiburi, sasa ndio unavaa
Happy Friday, beautiful people. Welcome to the Blast Show. I will host the most. Irene Juguna.
Leo nakwambia hapa live on the blast na kuaga ni show ya kukubamba. Tunakuletea what has been going on the week na zile mambo zinaendelea, na tunakupea vibe ya kuingia weekend.
Vitegeo, mbona kinya umechange jila? Washofeni hata kama wote na wachoma ila. Remember me kwenye rap bands ni paka kufa. With the best man, wakichonga wachonge na ziba nyufa. Acha nife kwenye rap tu, maana wewe dawa njoo unipe tu. Nikichoka hasu na ninyosha unanipanga kwenye bedi tu. Mapenzi yetu kayalinde hata kama wote watachonga tu. I'm an actor, nakuwa director pia.
Director wa acting ama. So acting na music unazimerge aje pamoja, na umeact which type of ni movies ama drama ama series, na ulijua aje like unaweza act, unaweza rap?
Nimeact ni short movie, ni love short movie ambao nimeandika mimi, nika direct mimi, hasa nikacheza pia.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to The Ambassador as we break down the development news for you and get the bigger picture on what's happening globally. And now, U.S. envoys met Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday, aiming to corral Israel and Hamas to get the Gaza ceasefire plan back to track after an explosion of violence over the weekend that threatened to drill the week-old truce. Here are the details.
A military video is said to show its bulldozers marking out a new yellow line in Gaza, meant to delineate Israel's military pullback from the main populated areas under a week-old truce. after an explosion of violence over the weekend threatened to derail the ceasefire. U.S. envoys met Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday, aiming to corral Israel and Hamas to get the plan back on track. Palestinians, meanwhile, were burying yet more dead after Israeli bombardment killed at least 28 people in Gaza on Sunday. That followed a militant attack that killed 2 soldiers. Palestinian medics said this is the ceasefire. Israel and Hamas have both recommitted to the truce, but there were further deaths from Israeli tank fire on Monday. Israel accused militants of crossing the yellow line. Gaza City residents said that they were confused about the line, with electronic maps available, but no physical marking yet on most of the routes. The U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner were expected to try to shore up the truce, then start talks on the next, more difficult phase of the 20-step plan. But with even the first phase shaky, it is far clear whether the U.S. will be able to pressure the two sides to end the conflict. The flurry of U.S. diplomacy, also including talks with Hamas and Egypt, shows how important the ceasefire is to U.S. President Donald Trump, who last week proclaimed the historic dawn of a new Middle East. Israel is unlikely to publicize any progress in the talks until remains of more hostages are returned. With the truce still uncertain, Gaza residents like Hala Obaid fear more violence.
We sleep in fear under bombardment with rockets above us and bombing 24 hours a day here. Just so you know, we're not done yet with the war in this area.
Reporting for GBS TV, Ampon Minor.
Now more from Gaza Strips. The Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief Coordinator Tom Fletcher wrapped up his visit to the Gaza Strip over the weekend on Saturday, 18th of October. Fletcher went to UNICEF Nutrition Center in Gaza City, where humanitarians are working to get hunger levels down. In Gaza City, he also visited the patient-friendly hospital, a pediatric facility in urgent need of more supplies and staff. Further south in Jel Bala, Fletcher went to a community kitchen run by World's Central Kitchen. The site is producing 50,000 hot meals each day, with plans to further increase, as Susan Nganga now reports.
The United Nations top humanitarian official, Tom Fletcher, has wrapped up a 2-day mission to Gaza as the enclave grapples with deepening humanitarian needs following weeks of intense conflict. In Gaza City, Fletcher visited a UNICEF-supported nutrition center working to combat rising malnutrition among children. Aid workers there are racing to reach the most vulnerable as food insecurity continues to grow. Further south, in Deir al-Balah, World Central Kitchen is producing over 50,000 hot meals daily, a lifeline for family displaced by violence.
Including 2 very full days in Gaza, heavy days. The scale of the damage, whole areas flattened, pulverized, whole towns made into a wasteland. And we have a massive task ahead of us, but the people of Gaza are not overwhelmed, and we will not be overwhelmed by what lies ahead of us. We are scaling up the food delivery to try and reach 1 million meals a day. We will get hundreds of thousands of kids back into school. We will reopen the clinics and the health centers that I visited today. We will get thousands of tents in for winter. We will get thousands of trucks on the road every week. We will do this. We must do this.
At the patient-friendly hospital, a pediatric facility, doctors say they lack everything from basic supplies to staff.
What do you need? What we need here, we need the space, we need the stuff, we need materials, we need everything.
In the northern neighborhood of Sheikh Radwan, Fletcher met residents like Zahira, now homeless, her house reduced to rubble. The United Nations says it is scaling up aid operation, aiming to deliver 1 million meals a day, reopen schools and clinics, and bring in vital shelter supplies before winter. But it needs growing day by day. Officials warn that only sustained international support can prevent further catastrophe. Susan Nganga, GBS News.
And now moving on, Nicolas Sarkozy will become the first former French president in living memory to be in prison when he begins serving a 5-year sentence in La Sainte prison in Paris on Tuesday. Last month, Sarkozy was convicted of criminal conspiracy in a scheme to finance his 2007 election campaign with funds from Libya, though to date he maintains his innocence. He will serve his time in La Sainte prison in Paris. Matthew Perez has the details.
Sarkozy, France's right-wing leader and president from 2007 to 2012, was convicted in late September of criminal conspiracy over a plan for late Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi to fund his electoral campaign. Since losing his re-election, he has faced a flurry of legal woes. In an unprecedented judgment, the Paris judge ruled that Sarkozy will start to serve prison term without waiting for his appeal to be heard due to the seriousness of the disruption to public order caused by the offense. Sarkozy expects to be held in solitary confinement in La Sainte prison in Paris. However, another possibility is that he will be held in the prison section for vulnerable inmates, colloquially known as the VIP section. The prison, which was since inaugurated in 1867, has been fully renovated in recent years. Sarkozy, who last week visited President Emmanuel Macron at the Elysee Palace just days before starting his prison sentence, has been convicted in 2 separate trials and was forced to wear an electric ankle tag, which was removed after several months in May. In the so-called Libyan case, prosecutors argued that aides acting in Sarkozy's name struck a deal with Gaddafi in 2005 to illegally fund his victorious presidential election bid. Investigators believe that in return, Gaddafi was promised help to restore his international image after Tripoli was blamed for the 1988 bombing of a passenger jet over Lockerbie in Scotland and another over Niger in 1989, killing hundreds of passengers. Sarkozy, who still enjoys some popularity on the French right, was acquitted on charges of embezzling Libyan public funds, passive corruption, and illicit financing of an electoral campaign, but was found guilty of criminal conspiracy. His lawyers are expected to immediately file a motion for his release. Matthew Perez for GBS News.
That's how we wrap up today's edition of The Ambassador. I have been your ambassador, Paul Madenge, and have been great having you here on GBS TV Africa. Stay tuned for updates throughout the day and be sure to join The Ambassador every day 1 p.m. as we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. Thank you for your time and company. Until then, goodbye.